Welcome to Lair the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, in my opinion, 10 heaviest Jethro Tull songs. Now, Jethro Tull is not a band that I would consider to be a heavy metal band, although there, of course, was that Grammy Awards where they beat out Metallica for the best metal album of the year. And, of course, everybody laughed about that, oh, a band with a flute in it. But Jethro Tull does have some really heavy stuff. So, maybe the laugh is on everybody because even though there's a flute in the band, Jethro Tull can get pretty heavy. And Martin Baer, their guitar player, who I think is kind of an underrated guitar player, you don't hear him get talked a lot about when you think about the great hard rock guitarists of the 70s or the 80s. Maybe he's overshadowed a little bit by Ian Anderson. You know, he's such a big figure in the band. But Martin Baer, he has some pretty cool and some pretty heavy riffs. And hey, Tony Iommi was in Jethro Tull for 5 seconds back in the late 60s before Black Sabbath got their start. So who knows if fate had gone a different way, where would the world of heavy metal be today? But Tull does have some heavy stuff. But again, it's not in the heavy, you're not going to get any Black Sabbath, Metallica, or Slayer style riffing. A lot of it's more in the mood and sort of the vibe that they create with the songs. But there are some heavy riffs in pretty much all of these songs. So, all right, now, a lot of these songs, you can hear them on this live album, Bursting Out, and they come across a lot heavier on Bursting Out. So I'm not going to reference them from this, but just keep that in mind that there are a few on here, and I'll mention them, that appear on Bursting Out that come across a fair bit heavier on this live album. All right, this is in no particular order. I'm going to go from their earlier albums and work my way through. All right, from this was 1968. It's sometimes I forget how early Jethro Tull was around, but the song on here, Dharma for One, this is an instrumental and it's very driving and almost has like a heavy fusion-y feel to it at times. There's like a drum solo in the middle. This was the era when, Ginger Baker did Toad, which was a studio recording with a drum solo in it. Drum solos live were common, but in the studio it was a little different. So when Ginger Baker did Toad, I think that inspired a lot of other people. Jethro Tull does Dharma for One, and then Black Sabbath does Rat Salad. And there's parts in this song that really remind me a lot of Rat Salad. Like there's a riff sort of towards the end, dun, dun, it reminds me of the Rat Salad riff a little bit, and Rat Salad has a drum solo in it also, and it sort of has the same kind of structure. The band plays, then there's a drum solo, then the band comes back in. So knowing the connection between Tony Iommi and Jethro Tull, maybe there's something there. Maybe he was inspired by Dharma for One, but it's a pretty heavy song for 1968. All right, from the stand-up album, this is 1969. The song is Sweet Dream. This has a heavy, descending, like Zeppelin, Dazed and Confused, like main riff to it. This is a good example. It's a pretty heavy guitar sound for 1969 here from Martin Baer, and it's a song that has kind of an ominous, threatening vibe to it, which is pretty cool, and this is an album that I do love. So, Sweet Dream from Stand Up. All right, number 3 is from definitely a top 5 Tull album. For me, Benefit, the song Nothing to Say. This has a cool minor key, like main riff to it, and then I love when the verse comes in. It's like picked acoustic guitars, but it's still very kind of dramatic and moody sounding, and that minor key feel kind of goes through the whole thing. And the main guitar riff is some of these layered guitars that I think is really cool, and it just has a really kind of heavy, almost dark vibe to it. So Nothing to Say from Benefit. That was number 3. All right, number 4 and 5 are going to be from Aqualung, the most popular Jethro Tull album, I guess. And, Jethro Tull, it reminds me of like Blue Oyster Cult. Everybody knows Blue Oyster Cult for Godzilla, Don't Fear the Reaper, and Burning for You. Everybody knows Jethro Tull for Aqualung. And Aqualung is probably their heaviest song, at least from a main riff standpoint. It's a very Sabbath-like riff at the beginning of that song. It's got some changes to it. It's kind of a long song. And it's a song that, you know, people hear this and they think Tull is kind of heavier than they are, just like Blue Oyster Cult. When people think Jethro Tull might be a metal band, it's because they really only know Aqualung. And it's the same thing with Blue Oyster Cult. They only know Godzilla or, you know, Don't Fear the Reaper. But Aqualung, for the main riff alone, has got to come in here for some of the heaviest Tull. And number 5 is Locomotive Breath. Starts with that long keyboard intro, and that main riff kicks in. It's pretty grinding and chugging and heavy, and it's just got a cool sort of grinding along, slowly chugging along, pun intended, feel to it. And the lyrics are really cool and everything, so just a cool heavy song. So that was from the Aqualung album. Number 6 is Minstrel in the Gallery from the album of the same name, 1975. It starts off with some spoken word type stuff, and then it goes into like an acoustic guitar type intro, like a minstrel type thing. But then it goes into this long, like progressive, like riff fest lines, all these lines, sort of Zappa-like twisting and turning, taking weird key changes and sudden going to unexpected places. And then everything sort of stops and it goes into this groove where the guitar has this main riff, the cowbell is hitting along there, and then the song hits into like sort of the main like verse chorus of the song. It's just a pretty heavy song and very progressive. By this point, Tull is getting very progressive, and it's just an awesome song. All right, number 7 from one of maybe my favorite Tull album, top 3 here. Songs from the Wood, the song Hunting Girl. This is from 1977. It's got sort of this mysterious keyboard theme, and then the guitar takes some of the lines, and it moves along pretty well, and it's pretty, you know, I won't say aggressive, but for Tull, it's pretty pushing forward and everything. It has a lot of momentum to it, and it's just this, really for me, it sells it with that mysterious like keyboard line that it plays off of the guitar, and then the guitar has like this effect on it, sort of like a call and response almost between the keyboard, the flute, and the guitar. When the guitar comes in, it has this cool riff with like this flanger or something effect on it. So I always thought this was a cool heavy song. All right, number 7. This is one that I mentioned on Bursting Out that is quite a bit heavier on Bursting Out. All right, and this is another one from Bursting Out that comes across really heavy, and it's pretty heavy on here. Heavy Horses. I always really liked this album. Sort of feels like a deep cut Tull album to me. 1978. It has these like guitar lines by itself, like just he's playing like a solo by itself, and then the bass comes in with this repetitive dum-dum, you know, kind of ominous, like repetitive bass line, all these open spaces and these big, really cool drum fills, and just a cool song with a lot of mood and atmosphere to it. No Lullaby. All right, this is not from my favorite. My phone rang. All right. From not my favorite era, not my favorite album from Tull, but this is Broadsword and the Beast, 1982. And the song is Broadsword. It's the problem that I don't like about this album is there's too much like synthesizers on it. It's very dated sounding synths. But this song is pretty cool because the synths have sort of a dark feel to them, and it kind of works in this song. And there's, when the guitar does come in, there's some kind of big hanging power chords, and it's kind of slow. I don't want to say doomy, but it's a slow, you know, kind of dark sounding thing, and the synths sort of work in it. It sort of adds to the atmosphere of it. All right, so Broadsword from 82. And then the last one here from, not another one of my favorite Tull records, but Crest of a Knave. I think this is the album that won the Grammy. It was either this one or Broadsword that beat out Metallica. I don't remember. Let me know in the comments if you know. And the first song, I believe, on the record, Steel Monkey. This is from 87. And it's got this like repetitive sequencer synth line in it, and it reminds me very much of like a ZZ Top, but of ZZ Top, like a minor key ZZ Top type riff, and it's a pretty cool riff. It's too bad it wasn't played on a guitar. You know, it makes it a little stiff. This is my problem with this era of the band. too many like synths and drum machine type sounds, and but it works in this song because it has this very robotic, mechanical sound to it, and that main riff is pretty ominous sounding, and the chorus of the song is pretty cool, and it's got a pretty, fast minor key driving feel to it. All right, there you go. 10, in my opinion, heaviest Jethro Tull songs. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have some other songs by Jethro Tull that you think are pretty heavy. And until we see you again, make sure you rock hard, ride free.